We are live.
Okay. Hi, greetings everyone in the YouTube channel, if anyone's there.
Yeah, hi, Chip. Actually, it's a
Is
little
Chip
early for this to, I don't know.
No.
But it takes a minute usually to kick in and tell me how many people are here. One person is here, and I'd be willing to bet it's Chip. Chip, if that's you,
Hey.
post a comment.
Cool. So we got a lot of good
soccer
stuff
today, right? I'm sorry, no football today, right?
No, that's all over and done with, really. It's yeah. What a disappointment. Hey, there's Chip. Yep.
Howdy. Not just a disappointment, but
well,
the whole aftermath.
The shitstorm that's gone on has prompted lots. So it goes way beyond just a football match. But to be honest, it's such a huge topic, and everyone's got an opinion. I've just tuned it all out, to be honest. So it's
not a bad idea.
Not resolved. It never will be. But something needs to be done. All in caps. Okay. So I don't know what. Anyway. So yeah. So we got a lot of good stuff in the show this week.
Yeah, there is, and you may notice that I kind of New England Revolution play tonight, but it's not near as much fun as the EPL, Euro, etc. Chip says here.
Oh, okay. I don't know what New England Revolution is, but it's
got to be the U.S.
Is it football? Football?
Yeah, like the San Jose Earthquakes.
Is that a football team?
Soccer, I use the word yes. Football, it's not American football.
Not American football. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and you notice I arranged this so that we can, Major League Soccer. I arranged this so that our topics that had stuff in common flow together. Yeah.
Good idea, no question. So shall we go through the old lineup, do you think?
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so it's your turn to do the welcome.
Okay, yep.
Oh, here, Chip says, I don't know if you can see these in the sidebar, but...
I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're spot on there, Chip. No question with that. Proper football, I like that, yeah.
Okay, so you are going to do the welcome.
Yep.
I've added one thing. It's not going to take 20 seconds, but I'm going to mention that the latest Circle of Fellows will be up this week.
Okay.
Good conversation on crisis communications.
Okay. I'll just mention the weather. Just a new topic to talk about, the weather.
Yeah, I hear it's. I saw your picture on Facebook with your new prescription sunglasses.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, here, of course, you will probably yawn when I talk about the weather here, because I'll talk about it being hot as hell here, which probably is close to freezing compared to what you've got in California, I bet.
Well, right now it's okay. Today's only supposed to get up to 82 Fahrenheit. So
that's about 30. Yeah, same here.
Yeah, as well, 82 here is a nice summer day.
Yeah, here it's a little on the hot side, I have to say. So,
okay.
All right.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then I'll do the polite mail promo.
Okay.
And then I'm going to talk about Subway tuna. Subway. Do you have Subway sandwich shops over there?
Everywhere. Yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. Then.
And I saw the story.
Okay, so the New York Times said there's no tuna in this. That's what this lawsuit says. We sent the tuna out to a lab. They couldn't find any tuna DNA. So Subway launches a website that says it's all tuna. It's this one type of tuna, and the reason you didn't find any DNA is because you cooked it. And that you can't get DNA out of cooked tuna. So, or it was cooked tuna that it was from the sandwich that they took it out there. It was already cooked. But in any case, it seems to be doing them some good. It's getting a lot of attention, and they did buy Google AdWords. So I'm going to compare this. You may remember back in 2009, we talked about the fillet of fish and the claims that they were overfishing the seas of New England for the hoagie. And
it's funny you mention that, but I actually do remember that. That's 11 years ago, but I do remember.
We talked about it 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that. Then we've got your interview. You're going to introduce that. I'm not just going to start playing it, right?
No. I'll introduce it. I was thinking that it's 9 minutes. It was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but it's good stuff.
Yeah,
so include it. But there's also the video, and I was thinking about publishing that separately as a Maybe it's an FIR interview. What do you think?
I think I was going to ask if you had a longer version that can be an FIR interview.
Well, what you got, the audio is the audio from the video interview. But what I did is I got a transcription done using the service that I've used for a while now. Actually, Chip recommended it to me a couple of years ago, rev.com. And they turned it around in an hour. That was a standard service, $10. I mean, it's wholly accurate. It's quite extraordinary. So that could be part of the show notes. And I then definitely cross-post that on my own website. But the topic is something that is not far from our kind of overall purpose here. Happens to be in the Middle East. There's a hot area. This is quite well known. Yeah, I mean the trashing of Mosul University in Mosul, the city of Mosul in Iraq, is well known. What the Islamic State did. Right. Burned 1 million books, mostly in English, but many in Arabic, and their whole approach to destroying a culture. This is a good manifestation of it. So Ideas Beyond Borders have been instrumental in replacing or starting to replace the library and the work they've done. But the connection for us is we reported on what they were doing, the project they were doing to translate English language Wikipedia content for the Arabic Wikipedia back in 2019. So there's a kind of segue into something else they're doing. So Faisal, who's the founder, he and I connected on Twitter a couple of weeks back, and we were chatting. And so that led to the conversation for him to explain a bit about what they're doing and why it matters. So that's what the interview's about.
Great. Do you want to play it into the episode? I mean, I'm going to end up editing your audio file into the audio file because that's going to be better sound quality than just trying to record it from my speaker.
No,
so we can just skip it.
Like we do with Dan's report, basically.
Right.
Similar thing. So, so I can, once we get to the end, I can mention. In fact, that's probably the place to mention. This is also going to be an FIR interview for the video. So if you want to watch it as well, look out for news of when that will appear. So that could appear quite quickly, I would say. Maybe I can do the production on that on Tuesday, I suspect. So it could be as soon as this week, depending on what you've got planned.
And you have access to the FIR YouTube site, right? You're an admin.
I'm sure I am, but you better send me all the login credentials again because I've not been there for years.
They won't surprise you. The login credentials.
Okay. Okay. So we'll do that. And then you're kicking off this whole mega topic about back to the workplace.
Yeah, so I don't know if you read my blog post.
That one that I printed out was 26 pages. That one you mean? No,
that one.
It was long. It was long.
Yeah, I don't know if you know. The reason I wrote that is because I'm dealing with this at work, and I had all of this research, and I needed to synthesize all the research. And as I was writing it all, I said, I just might as well make this a blog post. Well,
when I was reading, I thought, this looks to me like you were getting this out and articulating it because it was clearly a thought dump in a sense, but structured. Yeah. So I did read.
The plan I wrote for WebCore is only 16 pages. So.
Okay.
But it includes a 2-page executive summary. So
okay. No, it's good.
So my focus, as we talk about it here, is going to be on the Great Resignation, which is what the economists are calling the fact that people are quitting in droves. I'm not going to mention this because I don't want to talk about WebCore much, but when I was talking about this at the HR leadership team meeting, the head of our HR business partner said, I did 4 exit interviews this week with voluntary terminations. And every one of them, when I said what led to this, they said, well, while I was home working remotely, I had time to think. They've been reevaluating. Is this the career path I want? Is this the place I want to live? So that's just one of the things that's happening. But we'll get into that. So I didn't want to tread on your topic. Which follows, the nomad.
Oh, okay. Well, that actually is not a bad topic, but yours is far more. Sorry, that will complement yours actually.
Yeah, but they're related.
It's a different dimension on this whole thing about do we go back to the workplace or not. So there's another dimension. Yeah. I know 2 people, which is what prompted me to think about this one, who are doing this. And I'm not sure how they're doing it, because they are literally working from anywhere. And they one of them actually is employed by a company, and that company doesn't have a presence in any country other than their home country. So I wonder how how they're thinking about this kind of thing. So it's actually a big deal, to be honest. So I'll add that in, and of course we've then got more stuff later, right? Do we?
Yes.
Back to the workplace. Oh no,
Yeah,
sorry.
well,
We
have yours.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay. All right. So anyway, we go from the Great Resignation into Dan's report.
Yep.
And I'm going to mention I have installed one of the services that he talks about, Beams, on my work iPhone, and I'm going to give it a try.
You got it.
I got Beams on my iPhone.
Got it. Okay. Because what I'm going to talk about in that piece on the short form audio is the article is actually quite good, but I've actually got a quote from it in a way that's a little more focused to what we want to get out of this, because the article is actually, the writer's quite good, and some good quotes from these people on Beams is one. What's the other one? Racket. Quite interesting. So, and it might lead us to talk some more, but also complements some of the stuff that I think Dan.
Yeah, and there are others I found in the article I was looking at.
Yeah.
But
so prior to that, you've got your Clubhouse.
I've got Clubhouse. It's not a long piece, but for all of the claims that they're fading, here you've got the National Hockey League did a partnership with them some time ago, and now you've got TED Talks, Clubhouse rooms that are doing weekly talks on Clubhouse. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And Chip, I do know that I was talking about it, but not in the recorded podcast, which is where this stuff gets heard. The video really doesn't get a lot of views when it goes.
Only you and me.
Yeah, I mean, if we got more people watching live, I would have been more circumspect about that. But considering it's just you and nobody really watches this before it gets posted as a video, I'm comfortable with it.
It's good for the presence record. That's the thing.
That's right.
So
August 23rd is what I have for the next episode, if that works for you.
Works for me.
Okay. That's the first weekend after my jury duty.
Assuming that, therefore you're assuming that's going to end when it's supposed to, not get extended.
Oh, Chip, I trust you.
Unless you're
spread the word.
You're a runaway jury, maybe.
Well, there's no jury meet. The juries don't gather on weekends.
Okay, so John Grisham got it all wrong then.
Chip says, sorry, what was the date for what? The next episode? We're going to record on Saturday.
Keep up, Chip. Come on, keep up.
Yeah, Saturday, August 21st.
23rd. Oh, that's a published date. Yeah,
I've got 23rd as the published date. Yeah. That's a Monday. Yeah. Okay.
Good stuff.
All right. So are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready. Wait, we're not ready. Hang on. I haven't got me audition.
Oh, you need your audio recording?
Last time last month, I remember Audition wasn't working. I'm actually on a computer running Windows 11, which is awesome. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, I don't have a computer I can put that on, and this computer is not compatible, even though I only bought it like 7 or 8 months ago.
Is that because of the TPM chip?
You bet.
There are some workarounds to that.
I'll probably just upgrade the chip. I checked at the place that built my computer for me, and they said that everything else is compatible with the chip that I need. So,
okay,
might as well comply.
Yep. So
yeah, but I haven't heard any bad notices on Windows 11.
No, I mean there's things that don't work. There's some things that are weird, but I've yet to experience anything that seriously causes any kind of problem on my machine. And this is a customized Dell system. That's the hard drive replaced. There's a zillion gigabytes more memory in it, and a new graphics card a little while ago. But the hardware, there's a test you can run that it's one of those command lines that checks the TPM. Is it got all the stuff it needs? And this passes every test.
Hey, Chip says it should be able to enable TPM in BIOS. I'll have to run that by my.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite as simple as that, Chip, from what I've read. But nevertheless, maybe it is. Anyway, so things may change between now and then.
Yeah.
Although I can't imagine for a second they're going to disable this element of crypto,
Yeah.
checking and all that. Good. So it's all
Okay.
working well. Audition is working, except let me just double check. Is it the right microphone? Yes, it is. By God. Yep, we're good.
Wow.
So this is FIR 209, and
Which makes me wonder. We haven't done this in a while.
what's that?
If we look at the actual number of shows, go back to the last 4 immediate release on the. Oh no, it's actually not on the old website. It's on the new one, isn't it?
What's that?
Hang on one second. I'll tell you. So we go over here to shows. So it was episode 824 was the last Hobson and Holtz report,
Okay.
which means 824 and 209. This is episode 1033.
So we missed the 1000th anniversary. Good grief.
Yeah, how'd we do that? Oh well. Okay, are you ready?
I am. Let me
All right,
just-
3.
Mhm.
Oh, hey, a second person is watching.
Okay.
It's a cause
Okay.
for celebration.
I don't see that. I just see the chat. It's
Oh,
all
did
I'm
I
seeing.
get that wrong? 1133. No, I'm right.
1035. Yeah,
824 and 209. I'm going to use a calculator. This is ridiculous. I should be able to do this in my head.
That's why we have calculators, so you don't have to.
1033. Chip was wrong. All right. Are you ready?
I want to check whether this works. Yeah, so let's do a 3. You can do 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
Okay.
And click on go. Not that it matters. I sync these up pretty quickly, no matter what.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, that works. I'm just.
Good.
You have to edit this out, but yeah, I'm seeing the waveform. It's working. Okay.
Yep.
Good.
No problem.
Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to for immediate release the Hobson and Holtz report on Monday, July the 19th, 2021, also known as the Hobson. Did I say that already?
I don't
Sorry.
know. Start over.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Let me stop this and delete it. I wasn't paying attention. That helps if you pay attention.
Chip's alone again.
Okay. That was someone jumping in and not really.
Jumping in and jumping out. Oh wait, you're starting the recording over?
Yeah.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
That works. Well, greetings everyone, and welcome. Yeah, it's not working. Hold on, Shel. Boy, oh boy, what gremlins today. Why isn't that? Uh-oh. Do.
Boy, that Windows 11 just sucks, doesn't it?
I was using this the other day. Absolutely perfect. So that doesn't mean to say that it's constantly going to be like that. So is it a Windows 11 problem causing it? I don't know. 209.
Oh,
Let me
probably
close.
not.
No, close
I
this
just couldn't
one.
pass up the line.
No, of course not. I'm wondering whether I need the heavy weight of Adobe Audition to do this, so I can get away with Windows Voice Recorder, which is what I used last time. It was okay, I think.
That was fine.
Yeah, let me do that then, because that's
Okay.
a bit. Let me see if I can get Voice Recorder. Recorder open. Yes. Bum 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 ba-dum bum. Let me try it. I just need to do a quick test, Shel. Is this working? I think it is because it's doing something. Let's have a quick listen to that. There we go, Tess. Yeah, we're good. Right. Sorry, third time lucky then.
Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the July 2021 episode of For Immediate Release, the Hobson and Holtz report. Here in the UK, it's beautiful sunshine. We are promised for at least 2 days, 3 days maybe this weekend, and then it's back to normal of miserable temperatures and rain, no doubt. But let's enjoy it. 30 degrees Celsius a day, 80 something Fahrenheit. That's blisteringly hot for my part of the UK, but this is kind of common or garden stuff for you in California, right, Shel? By the way, this is Neville Hobson in Thatcham in England.
And this is Shel Holtz in Concord, California, where that's just a typical sunny day. Welcome to our weather throughout most of the summer. What we have to deal with is when it gets up to 102, 103. It's been 107 out here so far this summer, but no, that's what you sign up for when you live in the East Bay.
Yeah, I have been hearing of temperatures in a bit further north of you, up towards Canada, indeed into Canada, of 40 plus, bigger than 40, maybe 45 plus Celsius, which is 120. I mean, this is serious. That kills people. So is climate change the responsible the culprit here, or is it, in other words, human beings' behaviors? Is that it? Like the floods in Germany and in Belgium? Is that it, do you think?
What I've been hearing from scientists is that this is the consequence of climate change. This is what they've been talking about for a couple decades, starting to happen. So, and you're starting to see climate migration, which is really interesting. People who have to move because climate has produced conditions that mean they can't live there anymore.
This is probably happening faster than people are predicting, but it's alarming nonetheless. But in the meantime, we've got great stuff to talk about on this show.
Yeah, and climate change isn't one of them.
No, it isn't. It isn't.
I do want to mention that this past Thursday we did the July episode of Circle of Fellows, which is where I convene 4 or 5 IABC fellows in a live stream to talk about a communication-related topic. This month it was crisis communication and leadership. We had a great conversation. One of the participants was Carolyn Sapriel, who is from the 2021 class of IABC fellows. She's based in Lisbon, a native of France, and her expertise is crisis. So it was a really good conversation, and it should be available as an FIR podcast. I'm guessing maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, and you can head on over to the FIR YouTube channel and watch the video replay right now if you don't want to wait till then. So that's great. Also, want to recognize our sponsor, Polite Mail. For the second consecutive year, they've been certified a great place to work. Now, if you're not familiar with this program, this is the same one that does the rankings that get published, but you can get the certification, and is based entirely on what current employees say about their Polite Mail work experience. For 2021, 75% of employees said it's a great place to work, and that's 16 points higher than the average U.S. company. Getting certified requires that you complete a culture brief and that employees participate in an engagement survey. The survey results found Polite Mail scored highest in categories relating to work-life balance and flexibility. Through the pandemic, employees were able to choose for themselves whether they stayed remote, adopted a hybrid office model, or came into the office. And I mention this because this is a theme that's going to reemerge later on in today's episode. Now, the materials that Polite Mail released on its Great Place to Work certification doesn't talk about how they used email to reach their employees, but, come on. What they do is help communications and HR teams measure and improve email engagement for 27% of America's largest employers. They provide the tools and analytics required to measure, manage, and improve email communications with employee feedback built right into the platform, along with list management tools and responsive design, and it's all built right into Outlook. You never need to open a Polite Mail website. If that's something that can help your organization out, you should go take a look at www.politemail.com, and then your organization may start to get ready to get its own Great Place to Work certification. And that takes us to Do. Oh, I am first. Sorry.
Yep.
Time code.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting, Neville, you mentioned that this is episode number 209 of for immediate release. But if you go back to the Hobson and Holtz report before we sort of rebooted the program, for a while there, I continued it in your absence, and then you returned. But if you add the 824 episodes that we had done of that with the 209 episodes that we have done of this, you end up with 1,033 episodes. And the reason I mention that is because it was in one of those prior episodes back in, 2009, that we reported on a story 11 years ago that happened when the New York Times created a communications challenge for McDonald's. They published an article about overfishing of the hoki. If you've never heard of it, it's an ugly fish, man. You got to look that up online. It's found in the waters around New Zealand, and it gained notoriety because it's the fish that is used in the Filet-O-Fish sandwich made by McDonald's. The New Zealand fisheries, represented by the Seafood Industry Council, was not surprisingly unhappy with the article, which included a link to the Seafood Council's Hoki page. Yeah, of course, they have a Hoki page. And within a day, 80,000 people had clicked from the New York Times over to the Seafood Council's Hoki page. And the council felt that there were errors in the Times piece. For example, they had already remediated the problems with overfishing the hoki. So they updated the page on their website, and then they worked with a New York PR agency to buy Google keywords. They bought hoki, they bought New Zealand, they bought fish. I mean, and then they doubled the traffic to that site in the 3 weeks after the story, and their research found that really mitigated the damage. The Google AdWord approach to dealing with a negative story was hailed by the Neiman Journalism Lab, and it got a fair amount of coverage. Now, I raise all this because here we are 11 years later, and the New York Times once again has published an article, this time not pointing to New Zealand fisheries, but to the Subway sandwich franchise shops here in the U.S., and I gather in the U.K. as well. You said they're everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Right. The article claimed that they don't use tuna in their tuna sandwiches. Now, the article was prompted by a class action lawsuit that was filed in January that claims Subway used, and I'm quoting here from the lawsuit, a mixture of various concoctions, none of which are tuna. So in its investigation, the Times sent some of Subway's tuna to a lab for analysis, and the lab reported that no amplifiable tuna DNA was present in the sample, rendering it unable to figure out what species actually was in the sandwich. Neville, I know that you have dinner after we finish recording. That's why I put this story first. I didn't want this to ruin your appetite.
Very kind of you. Very kind.
That's right. So anyway, to deal with this, Subway launched a microsite called Subway Tuna is Real Tuna. You can find it at subwaytunafacts.com. On the site, Subway says, the truth is Subway uses wild-caught skipjack tuna regulated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. A favorite among sub-lovers, our tuna is and always has been high-quality, premium, and 100% real. They say they regularly test their tuna, and its two tuna suppliers require fishing boat captains to provide statements on species, catch method, and traceability information for every delivery of fish. What about that lab test that the New York Times conducted? The site says the reason they couldn't detect DNA in the tuna was because the tuna has been cooked, and you can't detect DNA when it's been cooked. And that doesn't mean there's no tuna in it. Now, the site's not badly done. It's visual. It's all on one not terribly long scrolling page, and they cover pretty much everything someone would want to know. I'm not 100% convinced they went far enough in their search engine marketing. I searched for tuna. and there was no paid ad there. I searched for Subway, and there was no paid ad there relating to the tuna. But both of them had, that little strip of news top stories. It occupied that space on both of those searches. So maybe they figured they didn't need to buy those ads. It was coming up just fine the way it was. If you search Subway tuna, though, you did get a paid ad taking you to the microsite that they created. And the key point here is that a one-page microsite on your existing site can be a powerful defense against misinformation, but only if you make the effort and spend the money to drive traffic to the site. One more thing, Subway has been under some competitive pressure lately. Higher-end fresh sandwich shops are spreading. There's a brand here called Jimmy John's that's doing pretty well. So Subway has announced a major refresh of its menu, and the CEO made a point on CNN when he was interviewed about this, saying there's only one thing they're not changing. You want to guess what it is?
Tell me.
It's their tuna sandwich.
Right.
Their great, popular, fan favorite tuna sandwich is staying the way it's always been, with 100% skipjack tuna.
It's an interesting story, I must admit. And like you, I looked at the microsite. It is well done, I have to say. I found it interesting in the first paragraph below the black background header. They say, we know there's been a lot of talk on this topic, including misinformation generated in the media. There's a very, very specific slapdown for, I guess, the New York Times. But I'm wondering, what's the New York Times saying about their rebuttal of their allegation and indeed the test? Have they said anything more? Not
that I've seen. I haven't done a search, so I can go over and take a quick look. I am a subscriber to the New York Times.
Mm-hmm. Be interesting to know.
Let's take a quick look.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to make a time code so the time I spent searching we can cut out.
Okay. But it's interesting, I think, that the fact there's a lawsuit. Yeah.
No. I see inside our Subway tuna set. All right, let me do this for recording.
Okay.
So I see inside our Subway tuna sandwich test, it says sending samples to a lab was just the beginning. The reporter behind the recent investigation talks about getting deep into the science of seafood. There's the big tuna sandwich mystery, which goes back to June 19th, which is before Subway launched this site. Let me go into this article and see if they talk about Subway's site.
Because it seems to me that if they've done this investigative reporting, had a lab test, and it's I guess you'd say it's inconclusive. And if what Subway says is correct, i.e., if it's cooked, you won't find DNA. If someone confirms that, that's the case, that's exactly the case, then where does that leave it? I mean, the New York Times surely wouldn't embark on something like this without the strong view that they're right, in which case this looks probably more significant than otherwise would be the case.
Well, the New York Times has not responded to it based on my search. So
interesting.
Maybe they've moved on.
Wow. Yeah, no, this is something to kind of keep a little eye on as to what happens with this, I would say. It is most interesting. So, okay, so equally interesting.
And a considerable pivot from tuna and sandwiches.
Segue. Yeah, it's not a good segue, but because I think there might be a Subway in there, or might have been one in this particular part of the country, of the world. But our next story is actually a short interview that I conducted a couple of days before we recorded this episode with the kind of star person involved here, and this is to do with the University of Mosul in Iraq. That was in fact, the city of Mosul was badly damaged, if not almost utterly blown up, literally, by the Islamic State when they controlled that part of Iraq during the war in that country.
And if I may add, just briefly, my son was with U.S. Army forces garrisoned in Mosul, and all of this happened after they left. And it tore him up to see all the work that they had done to keep that safe just go straight to hell.
I imagine. In fact, some of the pictures I've seen in some of the website posts by this organization and others of the destruction is truly, I mean, it's a bit like the pictures you're currently seeing on TV here, certainly, of cities in Syria, particularly in the outskirts of Damascus, but some of the other cities that have literally, it looks like the set for some kind of science fiction movie.
Yeah, Aleppo looks dystopian.
It's truly, truly horrible. So this is to do with an organization called Ideas Beyond Borders. And I interviewed Faisal Saeed Al-Muhtar, who's the founder and CEO of this non-profit organization based in New York. And he and I recently connected on Twitter. And he was telling me about this project to rebuild the library of Mosul University that was utterly destroyed by the Islamic State. So 4 years ago, they were expelled, in Faisal's words, from Mosul. But life is still far from normal at the university, where students, I mean, you can visualize this. They walk past bombed out parts of every building where the classes used to be, and they've not been rebuilt yet. So the Central Library was once amongst the largest in the Middle East, with over 1 million books in English and Arabic. And it has become a symbol of the devastation suffered by the whole city. Its charred columns and scorched shelves, a stark reminder of the education blackout imposed under the occupation by ISIS. So Faisal told me about the project to bring back the books and computers. So far, IBB has donated 4,000 books and 20 computers and printers to Mosul University. We also touched on a project to translate English language Wikipedia articles into Arabic for the Arabic Wikipedia that we covered, Shel, in the episode 188 in October 2019. So a strong connection there. And Ideas Beyond Borders was instrumental in getting that project off the ground. And also in the interview, Faisal speaks of the broader mission of Ideas Beyond Borders, which I find most interesting, which is championing a positive alternative to the extremism, authoritarianism, censorship, and violence that plagues the Middle East. A big part of that is addressing misinformation and disinformation by providing trusted information. That's where the Wikipedia project comes into the fore. But let's listen to the interview. It's a good conversation we had, and let's see what Faisal has to say.
At 17:27 into the show. Okay.
So, as you can tell, that was a really interesting conversation, I felt, and I hope you found it too. The interview was videoed. We did this on Zoom, and the Zoom video version will be up as an FIR interview soon. And you can then watch it, and also a transcript of our conversation that will be up there too. For more information, Faisal mentioned this in the conversation too. Just go to ideasbeyondborders.org, and you'll find everything we talked about there, with links to lots of information about Mosul University and the Wikipedia project.
It is heartening to hear about efforts like this that people are undertaking for altruistic reasons. It's just great.
It is.
Well, one of the biggest areas of focus for me at work these days is the return to the workplace. Note, I did not say return to work, and that's on purpose. Everyone who has been working remotely has been working, and in some cases, according to research, they've been working harder than they did when they were at the office. So it's not a return to work, it's a return to the workplace. I find the idea that we're telling people who've been working hard that you're going to come back to work a bit offensive. The reason this has been such a time suck, though, is the coverage we've been seeing for the last few weeks about what economists are calling the Great Resignation. A Microsoft study found 41% of the American workforce may leave their current positions. There was a Bloomberg survey that put the number at 39%. I saw another survey somewhere that said 25%. Average them out, and that's a lot of employees who are going to bail from their companies. I saw one study that said something like 92% of employees have at least thought about it. According to the U.S. Labor Department, nearly 4 million people quit their jobs in April, the most on record, pushing the rate to 2.7% of those employed. In addition to that, there could have been millions who were planning to quit but got laid off instead as companies struggled through the pandemic. So the number of people who would have quit if they had been through continuous employment could even be higher. Another factor to consider here is the number of jobs opening up as the economy recovers faster than expected, offering alternatives to employees who have spent the last year and a half thinking about what they want from life and from work. A lot of workers have discovered they can work from home just fine, and they don't have any interest in returning to the office, even in a hybrid model. This is obviously in contrast to those who are working at their kitchen tables with the kids running around and can't wait to get back to the office. Most employees nationwide have indicated a preference for working at home at least part of the time. And in one survey, 25% of employees said they would quit after the pandemic just to find a job with greater work from home flexibility. Another study found some employees were willing to take a nearly 10% reduction in pay to work from home 2 or 3 days a week. Now, this hybrid model many employers have announced is resonating kinda with employees. A lot of them aren't impressed with the configurations their employers are offering. The model is fairly simple. You will work 3 days in the office and 2 days from home. The question becomes which days. When Apple announced a hybrid model, their employees pushed back. They wrote a letter to Tim Cook, the CEO, saying that employees had actually been forced to quit because of that policy, and they asked Cook to change the company's position and give all teams the option to work remotely. In part, the letter said that without the inclusivity that flexibility brings, many of us feel we have to choose between either a combination of our families, our well-being, and being empowered to do our best work, or being part of Apple. Apple's response was, too bad, that remote work decisions would still be made only on a case-by-case basis, and executive approval would be required. Now, companies are working to ensure there's a balance, roughly even number of employees at the office on any given day. But if you spend your 3 office days with your door closed while you're pounding away at your keyboard, and you're really never talking to anyone else, why was it so important to make the commute on that particular day? Now, you will find a lot of companies taking advantage of this situation. Search listings on Google, and you'll find a ton offering remote work as a perk. According to an article in the Wall Street Journal quoting an executive from a job search site, remote is going to be the new signing bonus. Instead of dangling, we'll give you $10,000 if you sign for this job, it'll be, instead of having to commute 35 minutes every day, go to work, get in your car and drive 35 minutes home, you can work from your home office all the time. Now, there's even pushback around this. I just this morning saw on LinkedIn that people are saying, stop making remote work a perk. It's just going to be the way things are. The point of all this is that whatever the approach your company is taking to bringing people back to the office, you can't just tell people, here's the new policy, see you Monday, right? Because with all the open jobs out there and all the companies offering remote work, your best people may just tell you, in the words of a song from a long time ago, to take your job and shove it. You need to treat this communication as a very strategic organizational change initiative. It is a change, make no mistake. The way your remote workers have been working for the last 18 months is not how they were working before. And when they come back, most people coming back after Labor Day, there I go. Have to do that at least once an episode.
Yep.
After Labor Day seems to be the date most companies are setting for the return. When they get back, it's not going to be the way things were before they were sent home, March last year. So effective change management requires that employees understand the change, that the organization plan and implement the change effectively, and consider employee preferences and attitudes, and communicate the change thoroughly, effectively, as part of a two-way communication process. You need to show them the vision for what it'll be like at work and why they should be excited about that, and why they would want to be a part of it. In terms of communication, I'm employing the ADKAR model. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's awareness of the need for change, desire to change, knowledge of how to change, ensuring employees have the ability to make the required change, and reinforcement of the message in order to sustain the change in the long term. Now, employee communication needs to address more issues than I have time to talk about, but just consider new office configurations designed for more group than individual work, safety measures, burnout. There's no shortage of topics that need to be hashed out, policies devised, practices implemented, and messages crafted. And none of it will be much good if you're not responding to what you know about your employees' attitudes and perceptions, which means you need to do some pretty serious listening. I'm waiting to see whether this great resignation intensifies or peters out, because I really think it'll depend on whether companies take the management of this change seriously between now and Labor Day. Neville, I know you're going to talk about another angle on the return to workplace after Dan York's report, but what do you think?
Well, it's similar to you, I suspect, Shel, in the broad sense. There is so much being talked about this. There's no clear consensus on what is the next step, other than some pretty clear thinking I'm seeing emerging from the likes of McKinsey, for instance, that really nail down what the issues are, and it's not good news for employers. That's a fact. So I'm going to quote a bit from this big McKinsey report that was published recently, early July. A good headline: "It's time for leaders to get real about hybrid." It's not a plug for hybrid. This is just reporting their findings from talking to customers, but also generally speaking to people. There's a pretty interesting statistic they stuck as a call out in the midst of this report. It says this: recent surveys found that 40% of workers globally are considering leaving their current employers by the end of the year. That's pretty extraordinary. This report itself is pretty long, but hey, let me throw out the headlines that separate each of the segments, and that tells the whole story. The first one is quite right. Employees don't know what they want and are reevaluating their relationships with work. That's about what it looks like to me, Shel. That's exactly what people are doing. There's no whole-scale rush to "I'm quitting." It's people are evaluating it. We were talking about this a bit earlier, and the example you made about, don't treat working from home as a perk. This is the new way it is, and employers offering, or rather emphasizing the benefits of what they offer, and no commuting and stuff like that. That is part of what people are trying to figure out. Another thing they mentioned: companies don't know what comes next, even though many companies are talking as if they do know what comes next. I did see a survey a week or so ago, and I can't remember the company, unfortunately. It might embarrass them if I did, who came up with a plan and communicated to everyone. They didn't talk to a single employee in their company before they announced this plan. And they wondered why it got furious resistance, and I think probably worse reactions from people. Companies don't know what comes next, they say. It says McKinsey. Denying the disconnect, because there is a disconnect, is no strategy at all. And it seems that some, I don't know whether it's many, but some companies are denying there is a disconnect. Now, here in the UK, I don't believe it's really that much different to what you talked about that's going on in the US. I did see a story, to your point, about the best day in the office in Wired UK the other day that did that. They interviewed a bunch of people to, what's the best day for employees to go in the office? And if they interviewed 5 companies, they got 5 different answers. My reaction, of course, you'll love it, Shel. The answer to the question, what's the best day to go to the office, is it depends, right?
That's right. It's the day that works best for you.
Right, exactly. So you can't set down a uniform day. And McKinsey, going back to McKinsey's report, they've done some analysis, as did Wired. Maybe it was McKinsey's they used, that talked about the evidence, the scientific evidence they've got, that in the workplace, this is a generally speaking picture, of course, the best days are Monday and Tuesday. And it tails off in terms of people's energy, their commitment, their attentiveness, and all that stuff. It tails off as you get towards the end of the week. So if you want to get people in the office, it concluded, get them in there early. I mean, that again depends on what works for people or not. Here in the UK, again, we've got a big deal happening on Monday, July 19th, when the government literally lifts all the legal restrictions that were in place, things like social distancing, legal requirement to wear face masks, the limits of people in nightclubs, and they're all gone. And I think this is Boris Johnson's huge experiment in at a time when this variant that's causing so much alarm, cases are absolutely rocketing. So yesterday, I haven't seen what today's figures are. Yesterday was 52,000 new infections announced across the UK yesterday, the most since January, at the height of the awfulness that we had at that month.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that in Los Angeles they're requiring people to wear masks indoors again, and all Bay Area counties are making that not a mandate but a suggestion?
Yeah, that's happening in many other countries too. I read in Australia, in Melbourne, they're doing that. So the people are speculating, is it going to be a couple of weeks before we're back to that in the UK? The dynamics are different in the UK in terms of what people are arguing the case for and against. So the kind of common thought seems to be, you got all the infections, but deaths are not increasing at the same, anywhere near the same scale. Hospitalizations are not increasing at nowhere near the same scale. So that seems to be the driver. But the point I was going to make, though, was that on Monday, these changes happen. There's confusion about the masks. So transportation in London, for instance, London Transport, the tube, the buses, the light rail, all that stuff are making it a requirement that if you want to ride on our carriages, you got to wear a mask. You don't wear a mask, you won't be allowed on the train, things like that. I can see some ugly scenes developing in the midst of all of that. And then the main point, though, was Goldman Sachs, the big investment bank, have made it a requirement for staff to wear masks when they come to the office now. Before it wasn't that. Now it's you will not get into a building. They've got a new £1 billion massive headquarters building in London that they're encouraging people to come back to. I'm not sure how this will go down with encouragement, but I think most people are likely to. Speak for myself, I'm going to continue wearing masks wherever I go in any public place without any question. So that's all part of the picture as well. So it's a confused picture. I think McKinsey's headline, it's time for leaders to get real about hybrid in the broader sense of what that means, i.e. don't pretend you know all the answers. You don't. Talk to your employees. Really have serious conversations about what's best. Don't tell them we're restructuring the business, this is what's coming, because you don't really know whether that's going to work or not. So it seems to me from this and some other stuff I've read, notably in the FT the other day, there's not enough of that, i.e. employers talking to employees about what the new normal is going to look like in the workplace. Is that you seeing the similar in the States, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I see organizations doing a pretty good job of this. I mean, over in the UK, there's a company called Reward Gateway. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I haven't.
They're an HR support service, but what they're doing for their employees, they've come up with this matrix, and they're saying, look, it's up to you. You have your home office. There's the office here. And we're going to give you this matrix. We're going to give you the recommended home modes and the recommended office modes. The home modes are retreat, plugged in, and one-to-one. The office modes are meeting little, meeting large, buzzing, briefing, and I can't really read this last one, but fun seems to be, I think it's organizational fun. But basically what they're saying is, look, if there's a big training program, if there's a big social event, if you just want to be around other people, come to the office. If you're going to be nose down at work, you need to get away from the office. All you're doing is one-to-one meetings. Stay home, but be in the place that allows you to get your work done as well as you possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty sensible, although I have to admit, I'm a bit kind of organizational fun. That doesn't sound like fun to me. It sounds like a not very authentic approach, but I don't know the details of that. But the overall approach, though, of telling people this is what we're thinking of, is that how it's being couched, or is this what they got in place?
No, that's what they put in place. Okay. By the way, Chip Griffin is watching us do the live stream of our recording today, and he says, it's a very talent-friendly market right now, which makes it easier for anyone who gets an itch for new employment to scratch that itch. I've recently changed my view and no longer believe super flexible hybrid arrangements will work for most firms. I think businesses will need to lean heavily into either in-office or remote structures and set clear rules. Leaving it to teams or individuals to make these decisions will have unintended consequences. A clear majority of workers likely wants to remain remote, but a not insignificant minority does not. Research suggests that split workforces are more likely to suffer from reduced diversity in promotions and less equitable compensation decisions. I've said for most of the past year that flexible hybrid is the future, but I'm no longer a believer in that.
I think it just shows that there is so much lack of agreement on any single route. So hybrid working, to my mind, though, I disagree with Chip. I think it is part of the future. But not everyone agrees. And so you've got, as you said, quoting Chip, that there's a sizable minority who do want to go back to the workplace. I know more people who don't want to go back to the office than do. But that's just people I know. It doesn't mean to say it's representative of anything. So it just illustrates that there is no easy answer to this. There's no answer that everyone's going to be happy with. So at some point, the employer, who's got significant overheads to consider amongst anything else, has got to make a decision, and hopefully it's a good one. And like many things, I suppose, if you've got new things happening in the workplace that you want employees to do, given that employment is not a democratic institution, whether we like it, wish it were or not, someone has to make a decision. It won't make everyone happy. So if you can get people to agree to accept the decision for the benefit of everyone, and if they don't, they'll go and leave and find someplace else, then that's got to be part of your planning, it seems to me.
One demographic I know from my research that does want to come back very much are your youngest employees. They haven't built their networks yet, especially if they're new hires. They want to be visible to the higher ups, as Chip mentions about promotions and compensation structures. And if they come back and the people who want they want them to see them, the young people want the more experienced, more senior people to see them, decide to stay home, then that doesn't do them much good. By the way, Harry Hawk has also joined us. He's watching, and he says, for me, staying away from the office is my choice. I need quiet time for deep focus, and I can't find that in most offices, especially those with open plans.
Yeah, with you on that, Harry. I couldn't either.
Yeah, no question about that.
Luckily, I don't have to do that anymore. So, but yeah, you ask 10 people, you probably get 10 different views as what they want from their workplace. So hence, I believe that what McKinsey's report said and others I've seen is sensible thinking of how to address all of this from an employer and employee point of view. But there are no easy answers here, it seems to me.
Yeah. By the way, the office where I spend most of my time and my job, the one in Alameda, our lease is up next May, and we're moving to a new office. It's going to be smaller, and they're going to configure it more for social and group activities and less for your individual work. It'll be hoteling for individual work. The expectation is, if you're going to be nose down in your keyboard, stay home. Why are you coming to the office for that? Yeah. So that'll
part of the changes.
Yeah, that'll be an interest. And by the way, there's a great article by the architecture firm Gensler about how to reconfigure offices for more group activities and less individual head down work.
There's one thing I would mention, just to point out, there was a really interesting Twitter conversation by some folks at Andreessen Horowitz on disruption at work is more than just working from home. That's what caught my eye, was the headline. The conversation. I'm not sure whether I sent it to you as a link, but if I didn't, I will, because that's a good one to just peruse what quite a considerable number of people, and you can see who they are by looking at their handles, had to say on this topic. It's very lengthy, a very lengthy conversation.
All right, that takes us to Dan York's report. He sent it a little late for me to listen to it, but I saw his list.
Okay, yeah, I saw this too. Yeah, I haven't listened to the show because I haven't had time to do that.
No, me neither. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Hey, thanks, Dan. You talked a little bit about TikTok, which reminded me, I saw a report that said Americans are now spending more time on TikTok than YouTube. Believe that? From App Annie's latest State of the Mobile report, they found that people with Android phones, that would be me, spend 24.5 hours in TikTok per month, that wouldn't be me, compared to 22 hours on YouTube. TikTok's also ahead of YouTube in the UK for people with Android phones. 26 hours on TikTok versus 16 hours on YouTube. TikTok's average monthly time spent per user grew faster than nearly every other app, surpassing Facebook. So TikTok remains ascendant.
Yeah, and also just a comment. I saw you talked about Automatic acquiring Pocket Casts, the podcast app. I use Pocket Casts. I found that most interesting, Dan, and it'd be interesting to see what does happen with that. It has a checkered past, according to the Verge piece that you linked to. I saw that story too, by the way. Most interesting. By the way, the Verge is getting. We're quoting the Verge a lot. Is that because they're good journalism they produce? Do you think, Shel?
I think it's because they find their way into my feeds with good search engine optimization. But I find the Verge to be pretty good.
Yeah, me too. But I'm seeing them appearing more, like you said, in my feeds than others, and I tend to reference them more. Not because of that, but because the content is great. It shows up in topics I'm interested in. So
that's the thing, is topics I'm interested in.
Well done.
And by the way, I'm also a Pocket Cast user, so I'm right there with you and being interested to see what they do with it.
Right, exactly.
I hope they don't ruin it.
No, well, if it's automatic, I would suspect probably not, depending what they do with it. But looking at WordPress.org as opposed to .com, i.e. the self-hosted WordPress, we're interested to see how it could be used in there. I have to admit. So it's good stuff now. So that takes us, I think, to our next topic, which is kind of going back to what we talked about just before Dan's report on. Sorry, actually, no, it's you next, Shel. Sorry, you better put a time code in there.
No, it's not. It's you on the digital.
Oh yeah, you're right. I scrolled too far on my notes here to remind me what's up, and I'm looking at the wrong story. Okay, you're gonna have to make a time note anyway. So
I did.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let me do it.
Like Harry bounced too. He just dropped in for a sec.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good to see you, Harry. Okay, so this actually takes us back a bit, I suppose, to that topic we were talking about on working from home and changes in the workplace. A different angle. I found this quite interesting. Again, a story in Wired UK. I made their headline a question. They didn't have it as a question, but the question I put was, is the digital nomad dream over? And again, this is a different angle. I've not seen anyone else focused on this. But Wired says, and this we know this, office shutdowns forced employers to make their staff home workers overnight. The prolonged nature of the pandemic has seen many give them the chance to become digital nomads too. Revolut, Shopify, Siemens, and Spotify are among those that have introduced work from anywhere policies. That's interesting. That's a key word there. Not work from home, work from anywhere. According to Wired, Airbnb is so convinced this trend will catch on, and they're calling it a trend already. It has revamped its app to cater to long-term travelers, allowing people to search for accommodation without having to specify dates or destinations. Yet, Darren Murph, head of remote at DevOps platform GitLab, is skeptical, according to Wired. He says that this shift does not mean all companies touting work from anywhere policies are willing or able to support every employee's request. The missing phrase from the global conversation on this is work from anywhere where your employer can legally employ you, he says. That gets chopped off because it's not as glamorous. That may be so, that answer, but interesting distinction. It is significant, this distinction. Minaho Shiraishi, head of global mobility services at consultancy KPMG, says the tax implications of taking a laptop, heading for a country your employer has no presence in, can be huge, both for employers and staff. She says, depending on where in the world an employee works and the nature of the work carried out, there is the potential that their presence could create a permanent establishment for their employer in that country. Where that occurs, the company could be exposed to corporation tax in that country, as well as payroll withholding obligations and other regulatory requirements. Staff, meanwhile, could find themselves on the hook for personal income taxes, which in some cases might have to be paid both at home and in the country in which they temporarily reside. I expect that applies to Americans more than anyone that show. Unsurprisingly, says Wired, companies' work from anywhere policies come with a number of potentially stifling caveats. Revolut, for example, says staff can work anywhere as long as they have the right to work in their destination of choice. It also only allows staff to base themselves abroad for 60 days in any 12-month period. So I'd say the answer to the question, is the digital nomad dream over, is it depends.
It depends. My favorite answer to any question.
Yeah. But that's an interesting angle. What do you think of that, Shel? I mean, to me, it makes sense that these are things you'd have to think about without any doubt.
Oh, without any question. There's another issue that I have heard about, and that is if you, and we've had this, we've had a couple of employees who during this remote work mandate moved somewhere else. And, at some point, and I've been reading about this as a general HR issue, you're going to have to say, okay, you are living in a place where the cost of living is 15% lower than it is in LA or in San Francisco, in New York. Your salary is going to be adjusted to, accommodate the place where you live. I mean, you do that now, right? Somebody with a job in Kansas City is probably not paid the same as somebody with that same job in Boston. The cost of living is just higher in Boston, and the salary ranges are adjusted to address that. So that's another thing employees are going to have to consider. Am I going to take a pay hit because I've decided to go somewhere else?
Yeah, exactly. So this is illustrative that the changes that are coming are far more wider in scope and probably scale than you initially might think. This is way more than just, am I going to work in the office most of the time and commute here? Or am I going to go and sit on that nice beach in Costa Rica on the Pacific coast there and got Wi-Fi and I can just do all my work from there? Yeah, watch out if you're thinking that.
Yeah. Chip says even U.S.-based businesses are at risk allowing employees to work remotely in different states.
Yeah, I've seen
regulatory
some talk about that precisely.
Yeah, he says,
so
regulatory issues are huge.
Yeah, they are everywhere.
Yeah. Well, we just can't seem to stop talking about Clubhouse, which is weird because I don't hear many people talking about Clubhouse anymore. God knows I haven't listened to it in a while. More because of a lack of discretionary time than a lack of interest. But when I do flip through to see what rooms are active, there's hardly anyone I know talking. In the early days, I would go through 20 rooms and there's Mitch Joel and there's Scott Monty and people that I know. And now I just don't see anyone. The topics are also less and less interesting. As I was preparing to do the show this morning, I scrolled through and here's what I found. The dating game, Saturday sales meeting briefings with champions, how I made my millions, best social media content and growth hacks, side hustles to make money and hack skills, and grow your podcast. I mean, would any of these draw you in?
It sounds like what I still see on Second Life, actually.
Oh, man. But Clubhouse also has all this competition now. So does it have a future? Well, apparently Ted thinks so. Not Ted, some guy, but Ted, the Technology Entertainment Design Conference behemoth, which has partnered with Clubhouse to bring exclusive chats to you. The first one of these launched on July 12th and runs weekly at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Mondays, called Thank Your Ass Off. I haven't listened yet to Thank Your Ass Off, but it's touted as a weekly show to boost your spirits and change your perspective. Get grateful with us. Join us as we conquer the negative bias and thank the unsung heroes of our lives. They also say that more rooms are planned. Now, Clubhouse has also partnered with the National Hockey League, and they've done some other partnerships. The National Football League, on the other hand, has partnered with Twitter Spaces. That's Twitter's Clubhouse competitor. Facebook is planning to work with Bobby Burke. That's an interior designer, reality TV star, a fashion designer, Tina Knowles, and broadcaster Joe Budden for its live audio rooms. That's Facebook's competitor to Clubhouse. Now, for me, social audio was about anybody being able to start a room that anybody else could join. But you have to remember what got people into Clubhouse in the first place was the presence of celebrities like Elon Musk, who were hosting and participating in Clubhouse rooms. So will it wind up being a truly social media and a successful one, or a place you go to where you can do what you can't do anywhere else, which is chat with celebrities if you actually get a chance to be invited up on stage and have that conversation with a celebrity? Neville, I know your next story is about an audio trend that may be more appealing than Clubhouse and its imitators. But by the way, Chip here says Clubhouse is turning into a frat house on Sunday morning. Of course, we're recording on Saturday morning, so
look forward to that tomorrow. Then. Yeah,
I have to check it tomorrow morning.
It's interesting hearing that what you described. I actually have visited Clubhouse a few times when they came out with an Android app, and I have not been back since. I didn't find anything, I have to say. It's not my cup of tea, that kind of place, to be honest. That's the truth. I don't like it at all. I'd rather be in Second Life, actually. But the story you mentioned that I want to talk about is actually interesting. Is short form audio the next big social network trend? Is what The Verge is asking. It's The Verge again we're quoting from. This is good stuff. So forget long Clubhouse conversations, says Ashley Carman, writing in The Verge. This is the future of audio. Short form recordings that are social, shareable, and thought provoking, or at a bare minimum, makes you want to listen and say something. Multiple startups, including Beams, Quest, and Nowzad's app Pluto, are betting their efforts and investors' cash that there's business to be had in this user-generated audio. Even the world's largest social platform sees this as a possibility. Facebook announced Soundbites early this year, a forthcoming product also built around shareable, short audio clips. They all see what's happening to TikTok. You mentioned that earlier, Shel. Masses of people creating viral video clips and want to repeat that success with just sound. It could be the next viral frontier, and the medium that mints new stars and makes everyone lots of cash should any of these apps actually take off. The best way to think of these efforts is as apps for voice notes, says Carmen, except your voice notes have a time limit, and people can respond to them with more voice notes that also have a time limit. The voice notes aren't edited either. It's like taking the social aspect of Clubhouse, but limiting it with time constraints. Although the analogy that keeps coming up when I talk to the founders is Twitter and blogs. Once we had blogs, we then had tools like Twitter and Tumblr that removed all the complexity and just said, you don't need to think of yourself as bloggers, just type words into the box and press publish. And that led to this unlock of so much creativity. That's according to Austin Petersmith, the founder and CEO of Racket, another short-form audio platform that's currently in beta. You said you've been trying that. Is that right, Shel? Oh, it was Beams you were trying.
Beams, yes. I'll talk about that when you're done talking about this.
Okay. But why the audio mania now? Alan Sternberg, co-founder of Beams, says the app's arrivals come from a confluence of factors: the improvements of phones' microphones, Clubhouse popularizing the idea of social audio, and rapid speech-to-text transcription. Jake Chapman, an investor in Racket, points out multiple issues he sees with live audio. Conversations veer off track from the promised room topic, he says, as is the nature of conversation. And because they're live and not recorded, at least in Clubhouse's case, the app can't optimize for discovery. I think the short snippet audio companies have a much better chance of success than apps like Clubhouse, he says. I think they can scratch the same kind of itch. So Racket, for instance, because conversations are pre-recorded, they're asynchronous, and because they're short, the signal to noise ratio is completely flipped. He also says apps that specialize in long-form audio will have higher costs when transcribing hours-long conversations and optimizing discovery around them versus short form. Of course, podcasting has already existed for years and is having its big tech moment now, too, as you heard in Dan's report. No one really thought podcasting was broken, but big tech saw an opportunity to cash in on it, mostly through serving and targeting ads against shows, and seized it. These startups face two main hurdles, though. Facebook, which is going to enter the space soon and plans to pay out $1 billion to creators across its platform over the next 12 months, and the outstanding question that exists of whether people want to hear this audio format. It's got to be pretty compelling to get people to do that, I'd say, Shel.
Yeah, I think so, but it is intriguing. I did get Beams. I haven't done anything yet except listen to some of these, but I was automatically joined into a couple of Beams. The way this works is I can share short form audio, and then other people can talk about the same thing in that topic. So there's one called What I Watched Last Night. There's another one called Soundmates. I Was Today Old When I Learnt. So, not really anything here that I'm all that interested in. I'm going to try to start one that's business related on internal communications and see if that gets any traction. But it's really for experimental purposes. But we'll see. It's a new idea.
So it's not actually conversation, or is it?
I guess it can be the way tweets can be in a tweet stream.
Yeah, I get it.
But my goal is to do one of these a day, since I haven't figured out yet what the time limit is on a Beam audio. I'm not even sure what they're calling them yet. I only got this morning. It is only available for iOS. They have the grayed out, get it at the Google Play Store on their website, as do the other ones that were listed in the Verge article. So Android is imminent for all of these, but I didn't want to wait. Okay. So I'm on the iPhone with Beams. So if you're giving it a try, find me, and if you'd like to have this conversation, we'll see how it works. I don't know how you find people on it yet. I haven't done any searches. I just got it this morning.
That's cool. Yeah, I might take a look at Rackets, because if it's iOS, that counts me out. I don't have any iOS devices. But I'm intrigued, like you are. Hence my question: how would this work? Well, let's give it a shot if I can. So I'll try something if I'm able to.
By the way, Chip says that when he said Clubhouse is turning into a frat house on Sunday morning, he said by that I meant quiet and with the smell of stale beer.
I guess that was what you meant, Chip. I guess that was what you meant. Yeah.
I did not. I was never a fraternity member, so I don't know what a frat house is like on Sunday morning.
The smell of stale beer. I think it's actually the smell and the smell of stale beer. That's how I would have said it.
And as long as we're just joking around here, I heard an IT joke. I just loved a technology joke. It's a learning algorithm walked into a bar. The bartender said, "What'll you have?" The algorithm said, "What's everyone else having?" Okay, that'll do it for this episode for immediate release. FIR number 209 for Monday, July 19th, 2021. Our next episode, and Chip said he was never in a frat either. Our next episode is scheduled for Monday, August 23rd. Neville and I will be recording on Saturday, August 21st at noon Eastern. So if you'd like to join us, we will have the link out there. Just check the post for this episode on the website. Before I tell you how to comment, I do want to send a shout out to our former boss and friend, Joe Jaffe. He had open heart surgery. He came home, and then he went back into the hospital for more open heart surgery because an infection developed, and he is struggling with his recovery. I'm sure he's going to recover, but 2 open heart surgeries in about a week has got to not only take it out of you physically, but mentally too. So our thoughts are with you, Joe, and we want everybody to please send your positive vibes to Joe. Mm-hmm. We would love your comments. We didn't have any for this episode. Rectify that and comment on something you heard on this episode or just something you want us to talk about. Send email to fircomments@gmail.com. Attach up to a 3-minute audio file if you'd like us to play it. You can click that send voicemail tab on the right-hand side of the page and record 90 seconds of comment, and we'll download that and play it. You can leave a comment directly on the show notes for this episode at the firpodcastnetwork.com. Share your thoughts on the FIR community on Facebook. And of course, we welcome your ratings and reviews on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, if they give you the opportunity to rate and review them. And with that, it'll be a 30 for this episode of For Immediate Release. Wow, we came in under an hour.
That's cool. But that doesn't include Dan or the
interview. No, it'll be over an hour when it's done, but not as much as it has been.
No, that's true. We had some mega episodes. So I guess I hit the stop recording button now, right?
Yep, I already did.
Let me do that. Saving your recording. Oh, so we'll keep your fingers crossed. So excellent, Shel. That was great. Chip was great having Chip there.
Yeah, thanks, Chip. It's nice seeing Harry, if only for a second.
Yeah.
He says there was a frat that tried to recruit him heavily, but he figured they wanted him that bad. It probably wasn't that much fun.
Yeah. Okay. Revelation.
I was on the the college newspaper, and the frat boys were kind of our enemies in an Animal House kind of way.
We don't have frats here. That's a distinctly American thing.
You're not missing anything.
No, I'm sure. I'm certain of that. But we do have situations like Chip described on the Sunday morning with the smells and the stale beer and all that. The social gatherings and so forth. But I've been to a few of those in my younger days. Okay, good. Well, I guess we're done.
Terrific. Yep. Yeah. See both of you, I hope, on Thursday.
I will do my best. I'm struggling with that because I have this client where we're doing every other Thursday meetings, and other things are cropping up Tuesday evenings too, my time, and they're Thursday evenings. So I'll do my best.
Other things like other work.
Other work, yeah.
That's great.
So I'm trying to keep, as I have been doing most of the year, to 4-day week, and that's.
By the way, that's another model that I'm hearing. Some companies are saying, "What if we just give you 3-day weekends every weekend?" Yeah,
I'm actually working towards 3-day week, and still keeping up what I want to do with income and stuff like that. It's doable. It's actually I'm finding lots of work opportunities in the new way of working, whatever that settles into being. But if you're willing to,
this is. By the way, I just got an alert. This is Clubhouse and Jeremiah Aoyang's on this particular tech news around the world.
Yeah, he's developed a presence there without any doubt.
Yep.
Okie doke. Are you going to have dinner
leave
now?
Quietly.
All right, Shel.
Okay. Have a good week.
Yep. Talk to you soon.
By the way, I will get this posted. Usual. I'll get it produced tomorrow. It'll post about 4 a.m. your time on Monday, and I'll get you the promo art tomorrow.
Great. And if you could send me just an email will do with the login for YouTube and the FIR site, if I'm going to do the show notes for an interview. Do you have is there a place somewhere where I can get high resolution art of the logos of each of the shows? I only got 300 by 300 pixel images.
Oh, I've got the ones that are required by Apple. I think they're 1800 by 1800.
Oh. Could you shoot over the FIR?
Yeah, let me make a note for all this. So I'm going to get you the YouTube login credentials.
Yeah, the FIR website credentials. Oh, I can't remember. Are we playing that music on the interviews?
Yes.
Okay, I probably got it in an archived hard drive somewhere, but if you've got it, you could send me the
intro and outro.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Files, and you had one other thing.
The music.
YouTube. Yeah, the music. I got that. The login credentials for YouTube.
Yeah, and for
the FIR website credentials, the intro and outro. But I thought there was one other thing.
The artworks.
Oh, the artwork. Yeah. So the FIR interview artwork.
And the main show as well.
And FIR artwork. Okay. Not a problem.
Good.
I will get that to you by tomorrow too.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet.
So Chip's gone, I think. Yes, he has.
Nope, he's still there.
Still there.
He said bye, but he's still there.
Okay. Bye, Chip.
Bye, Chip.
Okay, Shel. See you.
Oh, by the way, Chip says the 4-day weeks don't really work well unless all of your clients. When I was at Allergan.
Oh, well, that's true.
This was really interesting. Every year we had to come up with more ways to reduce the number of people driving to the office. It was part of the requirements of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. And having exhausted all of the things that we could come up with, they came up with a 980 schedule. And the idea here was that you worked 80 hours in 9 days and got the 10th day off, which meant half of the workforce was there every Friday. Everybody was there Monday through Thursday, and then half of the workforce was there every Friday. And that worked okay. We didn't run into any serious issues with that. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I found my own hybrid working where I'm currently have 2 very active clients. So I'm splitting my work days between these 2 clients. And if I either replace one of them because they're doing some things I have no interest in, to be honest, and if I needed to move, I'd probably drop them and pick up another one. and hence the idea of being able to work less hours, ideally for more money, and that's how I'm finding it at the moment. It's quite good. So the notion of going back to being an employee has no appeal to me.
Yeah.
I don't miss all the benefits. I truly don't.
Yeah, I just love the company I'm working for. If it weren't for the people and the culture, just for an example, this evening, the CEO learned that there was an awards program for the admin of the year, and asked us to nominate his admin. She's a finalist. The awards are being presented online tonight, and she's having a watch party at her house. And the people involved in the nomination are going there. So Michelle and I are going. A member of the marketing team who actually submitted the nomination are going, and the CEO and his wife are going. So
that's cool.
It's just the type of thing that happens at this place. It's great.
That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, I agree with you. Okay.
So, all righty.
Talk to you soon.
I should end this broadcast, shouldn't I?
It'd be a good idea. So are we still
Bye,
broadcasting?
Chip.